Hello everybody. I don't know if you can really see me, if this is blurry or not, but hopefully it's not. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been wanting to talk about something for the past couple of days. I know a lot of people have already talked about it here on the YT, on the YouTube channels, the YouTube wrestling community. I've heard a lot of people talking about it on the internet wrestling community at sites like WrestleZone, Bleacher Report, the Baltimore Sun, No DQ, PWI Torch, PWI Insider, Wrestling News World, Raja.com, and even the tweets that come out of WWE. And you know, I'm not, myself and all you other fellow wrestling fans and marks out there, we're not the only ones talking about this. There's a lot of wrestling personalities and wrestlers and divas and knockouts talking about it too. Joey Styles, Chris Jericho, including the two people involved, if you will. Including the two people involved. That being Christian and Randy Orton. That's right, even they're talking about it. Heck, you even have John Cena talking about it. You even have probably Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, talking about it. And what is everybody talking about? What is everybody talking about that involves Randy Orton and Christian? Well, in case you don't know this, folks, by now, if you haven't been watching videos over the past week on YouTube, you haven't been reading the latest dirt sheets out of out of all these insider wrestling websites, Bleacher Reports, whatever, then here's the scoop. On Tuesday night, at the Smackdown tapings, two nights later, 2 nights after, Christian Cage, Jason Russo, his real name, or Jason Russo, that's his real name basically. 2 nights later, after capturing the World Heavyweight Championship, this very championship, folks, right in front of you, this very title, right here, 2 nights later, drops it to Randy Orton. And for the past few days, the wrestling fan community, the wrestling mark community, the wrestling reporters community, insiders community have been up in arms. On one side, you have a bunch of fans, insiders, reporters, wrestlers, knockouts, divas that are pissed off if you will, at the fact that Christian lost the World Heavyweight Championship 2 nights after he won it at Extreme Rules in a grueling ladder match. Then folks, on the other side, you have wrestling reporters, wrestling fans, wrestling marks, wrestling personalities, wrestlers and divas and knockouts themselves, all saying that what happened was best for the business. You see, folks, the wrestling community right now, folks, is split down the middle. They're split down the middle due to the fact that on one side, you have a fan base of fans, wrestling marks, insiders, wrestlers, divas, and knockouts that have been waiting years and years for Christian to climb the top of the mountain and become World Heavyweight Champion, or at least become a WWE World Champion. Well, let us not forget, folks, Christian has been a World Champion before in TNA. Now, some of you may say that doesn't count. Well, guess what? It does. Because the NWA title, when it was part of TNA, was the second most coveted title in the sport. Alright? And for Christian to hold on to that title twice, and then add this to his resume, makes him a 3-time world champion. Now, unless WWE purchases TNA, or Impact Wrestling as it's being called next week, then yeah, WWE is not going to acknowledge the fact that Christian is not a 3-time world champion. You can even argue the fact that he's a 4-time world champion or 5-time world champion if you count the ECW title. If you want to do that. But the thing is, folks, the reason a lot of people are up in arms over these past few days is because they feel that WWE used Christian just to hand the title over to Randy Orton. Let me explain something, folks. In case you don't know, in case you haven't heard the news, Christian was not originally supposed to drop the title to Randy. No. You know who was supposed to drop the title to Randy? Alberto Del Rio. That's right, Alberto Del Rio was supposed to be the one dropping the title to Randy. But that weekend, or that morning of Extreme Rules, they decided it'd be best if Christian won the title. Why? Well, because according to various reports, Vince McMahon smelled money-making moment for one last pay-per-view moment of Edge and Christian. Some other reports say that it was also just another way to give Edge one last pay-per-view moment before he rode into the sunset. Now, some people may say that, but you know what? That may be true, that may not be true, but the thing is, folks, there's nothing you can do about it. What is done is done. Now, you don't think for a second that Christian, or even Del Rio, when it was originally planned to be him, you don't think for a second they didn't know what was going to happen 2 nights later? You don't think they didn't know what was going to happen? Of course they did. They knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew exactly, folks. And I'm pretty sure Christian was confirmed that even more that weekend or that morning. I admit Christian was probably pissed off deep down that he would have to do this, but Christian also knew it would probably be the best for the business. Because you see, whether you want to admit it or not, Christian is a businessman. And he knows that sometimes you have to do what is wrong to do what is right. You have to do what many will feel is a wrong thing to do to make it right. And he probably knew. Christian Cage, Jason Russo, he probably knew. He probably knew that by dropping this title, that in the eyes of the WWE Universe, the fans all over the world, YouTube, Internet, wherever, he probably knew they were going to be up in arms, they were going to be pissed off about it, but he knew that it was the right thing to do for the business, whether you want to admit it or not. Now, believe this or not, if it wasn't Randy Orton that was going to take the title off of him, it could have been John Cena. Think about it. They could have easily kept Cena on Smackdown when he got drafted and kept Orton on Raw. But they didn't. They decided to put Orton on Raw, Orton on Smackdown, and Cena on Raw. But think about it, folks. If they would have kept Cena on Smackdown, it would have been John Cena that would have won this title. Think about that. And think about this in another way, folks. John Cena has 75% of the fan base cheering him and 25% of that fan base booing him. Well, Randy Orton has 95% of that fan base cheering him and 5% of them booing him. Think of that. You see, Christian is a businessman. And he realizes that even though he has a huge fan base, Randy Orton's is even bigger. And he also realizes that Randy Orton probably sells more merchandise than he does. So as a businessman, he realizes that even though fans like myself would be pissed that he would drop the title just 2 days after winning it, he knows it's the best thing to do for the business. It's the best thing to do for the Smackdown brand. Now, a lot of you out there can piss and moan and complain and bitch all you want. But the truth is, What's done is done, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can start out your petitions. Petition to say, don't watch Smackdown on Sci-Fi. Petition to say, boo Randy Orton when he gets into the arena. Folks, let me explain something about that. Booing Randy Orton is not going to do anything to him. Because unlike John Cena, Randy Orton's the kind of guy that would take that and say to somebody, in the back, these people want to boo me, make me a heel again. And he'd have no problem with it. Get what I'm saying, folks? He would have no problem with it. So you could start a petition to boo him when he comes into the arena or not. It's not going to do that much. And don't cry and bitch and moan and think Christian's never going to be a champion again. He's going to get another shot at running with this title. He is. Believe me, I know he will. You see, what they're doing is they're just trying to set a standard. They're trying to put a center for the Smackdown brand. And by putting that center, they need to put the title on that center. And when that center's been fully established and inserted in, only then will they decide, okay, Randy, it's time to take the title off you, put it back on Christian, or put it on somebody else. That's what they're going to do. And believe it or not, there's a lot of contenders out there. There's Mark Henry, there's Cody Rhodes, there's Great Khali, there's even Jinder Mahal, the new guy. It looks like he's going to be the next top heel there. So there you go, folks. There you go, in a nutshell. So again, even though I agree with the fact that what they did was wrong, and they should have at least waited to over the limit to let him drop the title, let him walk into a pay-per-view as champion, like they did Edge on his first reign as a champion. What they did was probably the best decision they could make for the Smackdown brand and for the business. And again, Christian probably knew that. And it probably knew in his heart that fans were going to be happy, but also knew that it'd be best for SmackDown and for the business for him to do it. So, you can complain and bitch all you want. Yes, it was wrong for them to have him drop it 2 days after. I agree with that. But the thing is, what's done is done. You can start all the petitions you want. It ain't going to do a damn thing. Okay? And don't worry. Christian's going to get another shot at this title. And again, like I said, if it wasn't Orton, it could have been Cena. Heck, it could have even been The Miz. Alright? Think about it. If Cena would have remained on SmackDown while Orton stayed on Raw, Cena would have gotten it. If Miz was drafted to SmackDown while Orton and Cena stayed on Raw, Miz would have gotten it. Get what I'm saying, folks? Get what I'm saying? You have to understand that what they did was best for SmackDown, whether we like it or not. Okay? So, that's all I'm going to say on it. Give me your comments down below whether you agree or not. So, I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.